What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crowncast. I'm Dawson. That's Logan.
What's up, boys?
And today we're going to go over some of the NCAA rankings and the NFL Power Rankings, and a couple other things, of course, because there's so much that's happened since our last
There's
video.
insane amount.
So let's get right to it. The NCAA rankings, you got that pulled up?
Yeah, it's actually pretty garbage, in my opinion.
So I agree. The only one that really makes sense to me is Bama. Because
I think that's kind of the consensus.
you know the saying.
They don't
rebuild.
They reload.
They reload.
Which evidently their quarterback is still top 5.
Yeah. So
Looking like top 5.
Bryce Young, what was it, like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns? Some stupid numbers.
Some stupid numbers.
His debut was better than Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, and Jalen Hurts. All Alabama quarterbacks, all starters in the NFL right now.
Yes.
As it stands.
Yeah.
The kid looks good. Whether you like Bama or not, he looks fantastic.
I mean, it's like watching the same thing every single year.
It really is. It's, you know a movie you love, you watch it once, and you're like, wow, that's fantastic. I would love to watch that again. And then you watch it again, and it's great.
But here's the problem, though.
But eventually, you've watched it so many times, you know everything that's going to happen, and it doesn't thrill you anymore. That's Alabama.
But here's my thing. So in years past, it's been Clemson. That's been the team that was beating Alabama. And we watched that game together versus Georgia. And that game was garbage.
So Georgia bumps up 4 spots.
They go to number 2.
To, I think it was 4 spots, right?
I think they're at it was like number 3 versus like number 5.
No, Clemson I know was number 2. They were number 2 coming into the season.
Okay, so yeah.
So they fell to 6. But Georgia went up to 2.
Which evidently Clemson is still the number 6 team in the nation. I completely disagree with that.
Beautiful field goal in that game. So many good scoring drives.
Oh yeah, they moved the
For
ball
those of you that
off
don't
so
know,
well.
the final score was 10-3. And don't get me wrong, I love defense. I played defense. I understand defense. I like defense. But there's a point where you have to ask yourself the question, does the offense just suck or is the defense that good? And
I kept telling you the whole game, like, why aren't they running the ball?
Yeah, Clemson had no consistency on the ground at all. And there was a couple on that last couple drives, couple runs on the last couple drives where they ran for like 15 yards a carry.
Yeah,
it's like,
but they
why
like
didn't you do that during
on
the
like
game?
first
Obviously,
down, you know?
It's not as simple as just saying, "Oh, do it in the game." Plays open up on, it's game planning. But I just don't see Clemson having a very good season, and I don't think 6 is way too high. But obviously, you don't want to drop them all the way down to out of the top 25.
Right.
Because
it was a top like.
Georgia's a good team, don't get me wrong.
It was 2 top 5 teams playing each other.
I'm going to butcher his name, but DJ Ugalele, I think his name is, had
Close
no
enough.
time to throw at all. That offensive line gave him nothing in that game. Nothing. Like, if you're a quarterback, your lifeblood is the O-line, and they gave him nothing to hang on to in that game. He was running for his life. It was like Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
It was deja vu.
Really. So, OSU, Ohio State,
3rd team.
which, respectable. Minnesota's not a bad team. I think people really underestimate how good a PJ Fleck-led Minnesota team is.
They lost their starting running back, though, who played actually really good versus OSU. He tore his Achilles, I believe, and now he's out for the rest of the year.
That sucks.
That really does suck.
And, you watch players who have so much potential and show up big in, the first week of the season.
Kind of like that Michigan player, the wide
Ronnie
receiver.
Bell, yeah.
Ronnie
Bell
Bell
was probably a top 4 wide receiver in the Big Ten Conference, and now we won't see him till next season. I don't even know if he gets a next season. This might have been his senior season.
Well, I know
that, so.
he had that sick one-head snag that was apparently PI, which
Terrible
I thought that
call.
was a garbage call. I posted that on Facebook right away. I thought that was brutal.
You're a State fan, too. That should be, prefaced. You obviously are the most unbiased person in the room when it comes to that. So,
Except for 1 week.
well, there's 1 week a year, yeah. I just can't fathom Michigan's offense without him. He's such a dynamic player. I mean, obviously, they played well without him the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But that's Western.
But he's your star guy, He's all around, He's playing wide receiver.
Team captain.
Then he's a punt return, kick return, He's all around.
It bites because with Ronnie Bell, he got hurt on kick return, and it's like, did he really need to be running the punts and kicks back? I hate that when that happens.
But he got so far, though.
Yeah, he was up to the 40.
35,
Yeah, so it's
Wild.
okay.
But they did look good. Michigan State looked pretty good too.
Yeah, State's offense looks like it's firing on all cylinders for the first time in a decade.
It's been a long time since that offense looked good, but it's mainly their running back that would look pretty good.
And again, you don't want to, discount the fact that they were playing Northwestern, just same as Michigan playing Western Michigan. You don't really want to, you don't want to put that as like oh my God, they're back.
And it's week 1 too.
Good teams beat bad D1 teams all year, every season. It happens every year. But
this is the year. I know we say this every year, but ultimately saying this week 1 is like Michigan looked really good, right?
Yeah.
State looked good. Ohio State looked pretty good. But is anyone even close to Bama right now?
If there's any team in the league who has a shot at Bama, depending on how good Minnesota is this year, because honestly, I don't think they're ranked in the top 25, and they're a good team in my opinion. I like them. Minnesota. Minnesota's not ranked in the top 25, and they played Ohio State, but I think they're a good team.
But they just lost their star running back, who got like.
That's true, but I think that they put up a fight against OSU, who's supposed to be the top third team, best team.
You don't think Ohio State has a better chance to beat Alabama than Minnesota?
No, I do. I'm saying Minnesota's a good team, so maybe 3 is okay for Ohio State. I will just have to see how the season plays out.
Do you think Georgia could beat Alabama?
No, not a chance.
Do you think Oklahoma could beat Alabama? Do you think anyone in the top 25 can beat Alabama?
So Oklahoma, they played pretty bad.
Yeah, they almost lost Tulane. to like a.
It was Tulane.
Yeah, Tulane.
Go Green Wave, But so that was, what was it, 35-42 or something?
I think it was closer. It was like a 3-point game.
Something like that. How Spencer Rattler played terrible in that game.
Yeah.
I think he threw like 2 interceptions, and this is not a good game. Now, granted, it's the first week of the season, so you can't really dig into these rankings too much.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it because it's important, but also like
it's week 1.
Next week, the week after will be more telling, I think. I like Cincinnati at 7. The Bearcats haven't gotten a lot of respect for the last couple years. They've had a really solid program. They've gotten a lot better. We'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. We don't need to go through all of these, but kind of just get an idea.
There's one we do need to talk about.
Which is?
And I know we already said something about this, but when I first looked at these rankings the week before week 1, and I noticed a certain team that was ranked number 10 in North Carolina, and I just want to know why they were ranked the 10th best team in the nation.
So there was a lot of people who were saying North Carolina's quarterback could win the Heisman this year. I don't remember his name offhand.
Well, it started out 0-1. Now they're ranked 24, so it's not the best start in the world.
No, but it's also, I think, a fair... If you really think North Carolina is going to have a great program this year, that's a fair drop in the rankings, in my opinion. Another one that I thought was interesting is if you watch the Wisconsin-Penn State game, Penn State barely pulled that game out. And that was tough to watch. That was another one where it was like just defense. And granted, the Badgers have always been a defensive team. But you just hate to see game. Like, I like a well-balanced game where there's a little bit of action, but a lot of defense as well. Mm-hmm. And that game was just Graham Mertz, I think his name is the quarterback for the Badgers. He played terrible. I think he fumbled in the red zone twice, and that was just gut punch. Imagine being a Badgers fan and watching that and just the disappointment.
Can I see that piece of paper?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. And the pen, of course. I need the pen to write the paper.
Yeah, that's kind of obvious. Yeah. But here's one I like a lot. Iowa State at 9. I love the Cyclones this year.
Why?
I don't know. It's a gut feeling. They've had a good program for a couple of years on the rise. I think a lot of Iowa Hawkeyes fans are going to be pissed that Iowa State's ranked ahead of them. But at the end of the day, Iowa State looks fantastic.
How do you feel at UCLA?
Actually, that was a great game. Did you watch that game?
Yeah, we both watched that game.
Oh, okay. Maybe that must have been where I watched it. But it was awesome to watch. It was a great game. And I like the Bruins a lot this year. I don't know if they're a top 10 team. I guess we'll see. Chip Kelly's their head coach now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
That's
he's
kinda
back
cool.
in college now.
That's kind of cool.
Did they play Florida State?
I want to say it was the Seminoles.
I think so.
Yeah. And then another cool team to see on here is Coastal Carolina. Best field in college sports. Don't at me.
So, early prediction.
What's up?
So we talked about this a little bit on Facebook. We had like a little comment war going on.
Yeah.
With about the Michigan Wolverines record at the end of the year. Can you clear the air on that and see what you think?
What I think of
Yes.
their Wolverines record? I'd have to look at their schedule because, to be honest, I don't remember it offhand. But I would say, well, how many games are there in a college season? It's like 10, right?
Like 11 or 12, depending on.
Okay, so they already won their first game, so that's obviously a win. We have the Huskies this week, Washington, and I think we'll win that game. I think we'll beat Northern Illinois pretty handedly. I would hope so. And we'll beat Rutgers. So that's already 5 wins on the season. But with how Wisconsin played in week 1, I'll take us over Wisconsin too. So that's 6 wins.
6, okay.
Yeah. Nebraska's a tough one for me because I don't know what they're going to put on the field this year.
I think they're going to be garbage.
So
Like maybe a 5-7.
okay. God, I guess I got to take them to win that too, and probably Northwestern. But again, you don't know. It's so early in the season, you can't really predict how things are going to go with that. The NFL is a little bit more of less of a science, or more of a science.
So 3 or 4 losses, 2 losses, 1 loss, undefeated. Like, what do you think?
I say we'll go probably 3 losses
3 losses?
at most.
To who?
Ohio State. I hate to say it. I don't like to
You don't
say
think
it.
they're going to beat Ohio State again?
I just don't.
Do you think they'll beat Michigan State?
That's the one where I'm like, it's kind of a 50-50 shot.
What about Penn
because
State?
We'll beat Penn State. No problem.
You're going to beat Penn.
No sweat.
So who's the third team you're going to lose to?
I guess that's fair. Indiana. I'm calling it.
What?
I don't know. Shit. Maybe not Maryland, I'll tell you that. We are not losing to the Terrapins, and if we do, I quit.
So do you think they remain to have Jim Harbaugh?
Oh, you mean like
If
after
they
the season,
Or go 0-7 or 0-6, whatever the record is versus Ohio State? I mean, let's say, hypothetically speaking, they go 11-1, but they lose to Ohio State.
Harbaugh's job was to beat OSU and then win an NCAA.
Like, he's failed to beat that team, no matter what.
God, I wish I knew what those numbers were that were on the screen on Saturday.
Was it like 0-6?
Devastating. It's like it's 0-6, and then his record against ranked opponents is just like awful. And he doesn't get the excuse of this wasn't my recruiting class. He doesn't get
This
the
is
excuse.
every single player almost on that team is his recruiting class.
So like I just can't fathom we keep him after this season unless we win a national championship.
But the thing is, we have said that for like the past 2 or 3 years.
That's true. That's a very fair point. Now, one of the things I thought was interesting was that neither State or U of M are ranked in the top 25.
They are listed on the bottom, like towards the top, so like they're pretty
movers.
close.
They're possible teams to get there.
It's just like a week 1 thing.
I have a feeling if UNC or Auburn or Miami loses another game, they'll bump into the top 25.
Well, I
Probably
think-
mid-20s, but
Like Clemson, if they lose, I think
out of the top 10.
0-2, do 2 losses straight out the bat for Clemson.
Out of the top 10, no doubt.
Easily.
No doubt. So, yeah, I mean, like, it's fun to speculate, but, like, it's early in the season. You want to see your team succeed, so try not to get too ahead of the
Exactly.
put
Exactly.
the cart before the horse, as they say.
Yeah.
But
So Dawson,
what's up?
in our first podcast, we went over who we thought were going to win the divisions.
Yeah, which we mistakenly called conferences, but you know what?
But
got
we
through
won't
it.
talk about that. And a specific division, the AFC North. You picked the Browns,
And I still,
and I picked.
I believe that more now than ever.
I picked the Ravens. Okay. Now, if you guys haven't heard, because this happened today, which is Thursday. I'm not sure when this video is going to be up. Probably Thursday or Friday. But they had who was it? Gus Edwards and Mark Peters. Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters.
Both tore their ACL today.
And on the 6th, Justice Hill, the other running back,
tore his ACL. J.K. Dobbins
a week ago
tore
his ACL.
And then who was the other guy? Wasn't there another running back?
I don't think so. I think that was it. But that's still 4 players in a week. Like, what is your training staff doing?
Training staff or the field?
Something.
It's all their knees.
Yeah, they say the Jets field eats players, but I guess the one in Maryland is doing the same thing.
I guess so. Maryland Madsen, like, damn, son. And then you just picked up Le'Veon Bell.
So yeah, let's talk about this real quick. So we play fantasy. You guys know that if you know us or if you watch the show a little bit, we talk about it. And so what was it? Was he signed yesterday or the day before?
I think it was a couple days ago.
I think it was yesterday or Tuesday. It was Tuesday.
Yeah, might have been Tuesday.
So I picked him up. I dropped Nelson Aguilar and I picked him up. And my initial thought was, I don't really have good running backs on my bench. I would like a nice rotation. I'm not sure if Michael Carter's going to start. I drafted him. And they're saying Tevin Coleman is the number 1 back, so I don't really know what's going to happen with that. Right. I think he could win that job, but regardless, that's not the point. Get another running back.
Yeah.
Even if he's the number 2 option, I know he's going to catch more passes out of the backfield than Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards not that kind of back.
Right.
So, in a PPR league, that has value. So I picked him up. And then Gus Edwards tore his ACL today. And to me, that was a huge win. Obviously, thoughts and prayers to Gus Edwards. Like, hope you recover. Hope you have a good career. We're not a negative show for most of the part.
Absolutely.
But from a fantasy perspective, that's great. Like, for me. Because if he becomes the number 1 back, that's another player I can
Which
put
they're
in a
saying
flex.
1 or 2. They just signed Devontae Freeman.
I saw that today. Yeah, they signed Freeman. But to be honest, with the production Freeman has had in the last couple of years, the fact that the Saints didn't want him on their roster, I just don't think he makes...
A lot of people are wanting Latavius Murray to get...
Signed to the Ravens.
But he wants too much money.
Well, and the problem with that is they already signed Bell.
Right.
And they signed Bell the day Murray was released, so they're not going to cut Bell to sign Murray. Well, they might.
Want to know a good running back that the Ravens would have right now?
Who's that?
Mark Ingram.
That poor coaching staff probably regrets letting him walk. And I liked Mark Ingram. Like, the year that before they had Dobbins, he had a great season.
Which evidently now he's on a team that has every freaking running back in the league just about. They're like a 5-man
rotation,
yeah, it's
which
kind of
ridiculous.
Disgusting.
But, they're like, David Johnson's the number 1 back. And it's like, yeah, but he's probably splitting 33% of the carries with the other guys.
Well,
they all do one thing different. That's the funny thing.
It's probably more like a 25% because there's 4 of them. There's Rex Burkhead, there's Philip Lindsay, David Johnson, and Mark Ingram.
I'm not sure if Burkhead's on the 53, though. He might be practice squad.
Well, he might be on the Ravens and pretty quicker.
I mean, that would probably bolster their running backs, but it's tough because you look at that running that backfield and you go, wow, that was a solid backfield 2 months ago. J.K. Dobbins was coming off a great season.
Yep.
Edwards, not a bad backup. He could probably rush for 800 yards or more on his own. And now they have neither of those guys. And they lost Justice Hill, which is not if we're being honest, it's not a huge loss, but when you don't have any running backs when
you don't have depth.
And he knows the playbook, that's a loss.
And it's not even week 1 yet.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is if this was week 4, it'd be like, damn, that sucks. But it's the season kickoff tonight.
And they play Monday.
Which, lucky for them, they play Monday because that gives them an extra day, but it's still not great.
And on the same point, you still lose Marcus Peters, who's like a captain on that team almost.
Probably
I don't know if he is a captain,
probably
but
a top 10, top 15 corner in the
he's
NFL.
A leader on that defense. He's
absolutely.
But on the bright side for the Ravens, they did pay a guy.
Yeah, so Mark Andrews, what was it? 4 years, $56 million? I think it was. It was like a front-loaded contract.
Yeah, so by March 2022, he's going to get paid $27 million.
Which is ridiculous money. I mean, if I'm Mark Andrews, I take that deal all day long because you get the bag up front. Now, granted, he's probably going to want to restructure in a couple of years.
And he
'cause he's not
wasn't
gonna be
even the
making
only
much.
player that this week that got paid because TJ Watt had a
Yeah, so
massive contract.
That was what, 2 hours ago?
It was 4 years, 112 million,
Stupid. And 80 million guaranteed.
80 million guaranteed.
If I'm correct, I think I saw that it was the richest defensive player contract in NFL history. Now, the question to me, or to you, from me, is he worth it? Honestly,
is he worth it?
Is he worth it in your opinion? And I'll tell you mine when you're done.
Absolutely.
Okay. So why? Why do you think that? Like, why do you think he's worth being the highest paid defensive player in league history?
What position is he?
Linebacker and edge.
He's a linebacker.
/ end, because that's kind of where he makes his money. But
Name top 5 linebackers in the league. 5.
it's fair.
Fair. Linebackers, like, back then was like the D linemen of like now. You know, like there were, you can name guys like Ray Lewis, blah, 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 you know. Now it's like,
Can you? You only named one.
yeah, you need one too. So
That's a fair point. But, I mean, no, like, there's good linebackers in the league, an edge. Like, Khalil Mack is technically a linebacker and edge. Zadarius Smith. Chris Jones, I think he's an interior lineman. Like, there's good D-line edge linebacker players. But, like, I guess my thing is, what if that's the richest contract in league history for a defender?
which is 28 million a year.
Yeah, but it's 80 million guaranteed too. So that's like 28 million is great. That's quarterback money.
Mm-hmm.
But the 80 million guaranteed, that's better than Kirk Cousins' contract, and he's actually valuable, unlike Kirk Cousins.
Yikes.
Sorry. Anyway, but like, so what does that mean for Donald going into his next contract? Do you think he's going to get like 140, or do you think T.J. Watt and him are almost on the same level? Because I personally think Donald's on a different level than everybody in the league.
Well, like whenever everyone talks about defensive player of the year, they don't even talk about Aaron Donald because he's already in that conversation.
He's an afterthought because he's the only thought.
Literally.
Like, you can't talk defensive player of the year. If Aaron Donald is healthy, he'll be in the conversation every year. Like, I don't think that's up for debate. And TJ Watt's a great pass rusher, and he makes a difference in the, he's not the best coverage guy, but he does make a difference in coverage when he has to. I think he had a couple interceptions last year, a couple fumble recoveries. He's a good player. He's a great player.
So, like, look at, like...
And also, the Packers could have drafted him, and they went with Kevin King, so, that doesn't sting at all.
Where's Kevin King?
He's still with the Packers.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, they re-signed him on like a $9 million one-year contract. But he is the number 3 or 4 corner on the team.
So they didn't sign him for a 4-year, $112 million deal.
They definitely did not.
Okay.
Definitely
Just want to
not.
clear the air.
Yeah. Definitely not. It is fun for me to imagine, though, like the kind of stupid money that Aaron Donald will bring in with his next contract.
How old
he's
is
still
he?
playing at a high level. He can't be that old. He hasn't been in the league that long. 2015, I want to say, was when he was drafted.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I
he
would
can't
say
be that old.
It wasn't that long ago. And that's the thing is he's been so good for so long. Like 5 years in the NFL is a lifetime.
See, one thing I think you have to consider, too, is, like, not only is TJ Watt's talent, but, like, how is he, like, in the locker room? Is he making guys better around him,
Well, definitely.
Because, like, just because he's, like, a solo talent guy, like, he can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's a team sport. Remember when Aaron Rodgers said, like, football is, like, the best sport because it's actually a team sport?
It's a true team sport.
It is a true team sport.
I mean, like, I'm not going to rag on any other sports. Hockey is a great team sport. Basketball is a team sport. But in the pros, it does seem like certain other sports, one star player makes the difference.
Absolutely.
And not to say that a great quarterback and a great running back and a great wide receiver or whatever don't make a difference.
Like the Titans.
But you can have an all-time talent at quarterback. He could be the best player of all time, but if he doesn't have a good O-line or doesn't have good receivers, doesn't have someone to help him, it will not matter.
Yep. Which the Super Bowl kind of proved that.
Exactly. You lose 2 of your linemen, and you're playing one of, if not the best, I won't say the best, but one of the best D-lines.
One of the best. Who do you think's the best D-line?
I would say either Washington.
I was going to say Washington.
Or, honestly, it's Washington or the Buccaneers for me.
Well, Washington's just young, dude.
Well, they're young and they're savages. They eat people for breakfast. They're so good. Like, it's not close for me.
Well, I think the problem, like, it wasn't a problem for Washington fans, but it was like their first, I think it was like their last 4 drafts and top picks were like all
D-linemen.
defensive linemen.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they haven't been very good for the last like 6 years. Like they had that one season where they went to the playoffs with RG3 and lost his
Who?
back. Robert Griffin III.
Who?
You know who.
Who?
Shut up, you Andrew Luck Homer.
He's retired.
Yeah, I know. Well, technically so is RG3, so I guess that draft class didn't work out that great. But
You just brought up bad memories.
sorry, bud. But no, so
What was Andrew Luck's record versus the Titans? All right, I rest my case.
I mean, the Titans weren't very good till recently, but
They're still not good. Their defense is trash.
Oh, you're gonna make some people angry with that one. Titans fans are passionate. I'll give them that.
They are very passionate. We have a AFC South Trash Talk 2.0 Facebook page. And
Somehow I got swarmed into that or warped into that, and I didn't.
You actually comment more than I do.
I do.
So
I
evidently
fight
that's
with-
kind of weird.
I fight with more Titans fans than the Colts fans.
And you're a Packer backer. Like, that doesn't make any
it's,
sense.
It's weird. I can talk about football though with anybody about any time, so you know.
Yeah, we were gonna talk about the Cowboys and Bucks, but honestly, there's no storylines tonight because the Bucks are gonna win.
The only storyline there is that Zach Martin has COVID, and that D line that we just talked about is gonna eat Dak Prescott for lunch. That said, I expect Ezekiel Elliott to have a large role tonight, and if he doesn't, I'm gonna be mad because I put money on that.
Speaking of money, how much money did you put down? And what are the best bets for the weekend?
So I've got a couple bets that I like. We're just doing basic, standard stuff. It's not anything like crazy. Like I'm not gonna get into the props or like what's the coin toss of game one gonna be. I'm not gonna do that kind of thing. What I will do is I'll give you a couple bets, and I got 5 of them for this weekend that I really like.
If you have a gambling problem, you should go to the website in our link in our bio.
Do you have one posted there?
No, it's a commercial.
Oh,
We're getting paid for me to say that.
are we actually?
No.
Oh, I was like, no kidding. That's awesome. Okay, so here's one. We talk about making Titans fans.
Yes,
mad.
because we make money off of our 80 views.
That was our first podcast. The second one only has 24.
Love the support though, by the way.
Yes, thank you. I seriously like it. The numbers don't really matter to us right now, but it is really encouraging to see people actually watching and listening and stuff.
And Dawson's gonna make you money.
What?
So say the bets.
Oh, right. That's the goal here. So, there's the money lines for some of these teams are not great. Like tonight, you've got the Buccaneers versus the Cowboys, and since Monday, the line has moved from like minus 220 on the Buccaneers, which is not great as it is,
Right.
to minus 430. Vegas really thinks the Buccaneers are going to win this game, and I have to agree.
And I agree.
Yeah.
I haven't picked.
Well, there's a reason that the money line is like that, because the Cowboys should not win this game, and if they do it, in my opinion, it's a fluke, like I said earlier. So, here's my first one, and you can parlay these, you can do whatever. These are just 5 bets that I really like right now. So, number 1 is the Cardinals to beat Tennessee, straight up. Just Cardinals money line is at plus 130. It's not incredible odds as far as like winning big, but plus 130, $10 bet wins you $13. So that's not bad, and you get your bet back for those of you that don't know how gambling works, sports betting. The other one is, and I still like the Baltimore Ravens here because I don't like the Raiders. Excuse me. The Baltimore Ravens to cover the spread of 4.5. I love that. All they have to do is beat the Raiders by 5, and you're at minus 102 on that. That's good odds.
You think they're gonna beat the Raiders?
Absolutely. I don't like the Raiders at all this year. I don't know how people are so high on them, to be honest. Honestly, the run game's solid, but they lost a couple of linemen. Like, granted, they drafted, what was his name? He had a badass name. The all lineman that should have went in the 3rd round.
Mike Hawk?
Nice, buddy. No, it was Don Kedick. Alex Leatherwood was actually his name, which is sounds awesome. But
I thought our son better.
Anyway, So yeah, they drafted Leatherwood, who looked solid in preseason, but again, that's against 2s and 3s. He's going to be playing 1s, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I still like the spread for the Ravens at 4.5. Now, here's one that most people are probably not going to like me for, but I'm a Packer fan. So just preface that out of the way. But I genuinely think the Packers will beat the Saints. I don't know how you feel about that. I can't really remember what you chose, but
I have the Packers.
They have the Packers line for the spread at -110, which the spread is -3.5 to win by 4, basically. That's great for the Packers. I think they can easily do that, and I think the Saints' defense and their offense are suffering from a couple losses. Saints don't have Trey Hendrickson anymore. He went to the Bengals. That's a good pass rusher. Gone. Obviously, you got to watch out for Cam Jordan. We don't have Bakhtiari right now, but, I like the Packers. And then, so this one's one that I think is the easiest money of the evening for Sunday. Jacksonville -3 over the Texans. The Texans look terrible. They look worse every day. I think they just traded away one of their corners. He was a solid player. And they traded him to the Saints. I can't remember his name off my top of my head, but I swear they're trying to lose games now. So Jacksonville it is. The Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence led team to win week 1. Book it at -120. And for my last bet of the evening, I got New England -3 against the Dolphins. This one's not super bold in my opinion. I think the Patriots are the second best team in that division, and it's not close.
Is this a parlay?
So no, these are all singles, but I'll tell you in a minute what the final total for parlay odds is. So these are all solid bets in my opinion that are very likely to happen. Obviously, I wouldn't pick the ones that aren't likely in my opinion. So it's a 5-leg parlay if you wanted to put them together. And that comes out to plus 2,769 odds. So a $10 bet would win you $276 plus your bet back. It's not bad odds.
No.
Depending on how much you wanted to put on it. $100 wins you almost $3,000. I'm not going to tell you to bet that. I don't bet that. I take it. I do low, small bets to try to win decent amounts of money.
$5-10 here and there.
Yeah. But those are just the bets I like tonight. Not tonight, but into the next couple days for the weekend. So, yeah. There's not a ton of value on certain picks, and I have my own parlay for all the games. I don't expect to win that. I don't expect to pick 16 correct games, but it would be nice.
Yeah, it would, actually.
So, what else do you got to talk about today, Logan?
Honestly, that kind of wraps up the Crowncast for this episode, honestly. There's not much a whole lot to talk about. I think week 1's going to be awesome. I'm pretty pumped for this NFL season to start, and that's about it. See you next time, boys.